Stop scrolling for a second and look at your hand. That hand evolved to grip a spear, craft a stone axe, and maybe high-five a fellow hunter after taking down a mammoth, yet right now, it is likely cramping up from scrolling through a glass screen for 6 hours a day. We like to think that civilization, with its air conditioning, antibiotics, and streaming services, is the ultimate goal of human existence. But what if I told you that the last 10,000 years of progress might have actually been a massive biological downgrade for our species? What if the Stone Age wasn't a dark time of misery, but actually the golden age of humanity that we accidentally ruined by planting a few seeds? Before we get started, please note that the information in this video has been compiled from various sources. If you find anything inaccurate or unclear, feel free to let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your feedback. Now let's rewind the clock and break the Neolithic Revolution, the moment about 12,000 years ago when humans decided to stop wandering and start farming. Most history books frame this as our great leap forward, but evolutionary biologists often call it the worst mistake in the history of the human race. Why? Because if we had never left the Stone Age, you wouldn't be sitting in a cubicle or a classroom for 40 hours a week. Anthropological studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies like the Hadza in Tanzania or the San in the Kalahari suggest that our ancestors likely worked only about 15 to 20 hours a week to survive. That's right, while you were stressing about a deadline on a Tuesday, your Stone Age self would have finished all their hunting and gathering by Monday afternoon and spent the rest of the week napping, gossiping, and playing games. If we hadn't adopted agriculture, the concept of poverty wouldn't exist because there was no surplus to hoard. You couldn't be a billionaire in the Stone Age because you can't carry a billion mammoths in your backpack. Society was fiercely egalitarian because if you tried to act like a king, the rest of the tribe would simply ignore you or, in extreme cases, exile you. Now let's talk about your body. If we had stayed in the Paleolithic era, the orthodontist industry would collapse overnight. Have you ever wondered why prehistoric skulls have perfect straight teeth while modern humans need braces? It's because our jaws evolved to chew tough meat and fibrous roots, which stimulated jawbone growth, creating plenty of room for all 32 teeth. When we switched to farming soft, mushy grains like wheat and rice, our jaws shrank, but our teeth stayed the same size, leading to the crowded, crooked mess we deal with today. Furthermore, you would be taller. Archaeological evidence shows that the average height of humans plummeted by several inches when we switched from a diverse hunter-gatherer diet to a carb-heavy, vitamin-deficient farming diet. We only recently caught up to our Stone Age ancestors in height thanks to modern nutrition. But the biggest difference in this eternal Stone Age timeline would be the planet itself. Without agriculture, the human population would have never exploded to 8 billion. We would likely have stabilized at a few million people globally, living in harmony, or at least in balance, with nature. There would be no plastic in the ocean, no industrial pollution, and the dodo bird would probably still be annoying people on Mauritius. We wouldn't have the majority of infectious diseases that have plagued history either. Smallpox, measles, and the flu were gifts we got from domesticating animals and living in filth-ridden cities. Without livestock and crowded urban centers, pandemics would be virtually impossible. However, before you burn your diploma and run into the woods, we have to look at the brutal reality of this timeline. In a world that never left the Stone Age, literacy doesn't exist. We wouldn't have Shakespeare, the moon landing, or the internet. Our knowledge would be limited to what we could remember and tell our grandchildren. And while you wouldn't die of heart disease or diabetes, the diseases of civilization, you would likely die of something much stupider, like an infected scratch, a broken leg, or a difficult childbirth. In the Stone Age, nature isn't a cruel mistress, but she is an indifferent one. There is no 911 to call when a saber-toothed cat decides you look like a snack. We would also be stuck in small social circles bounded by Dunbar's number, meaning you would only ever know about 150 people in your entire life. Xenophobia would likely be the default setting, as anyone outside your tribe would be a potential competitor for resources. So the ultimate question is a trade-off. Would you trade your antibiotics, your smartphone, and your safety for a life of absolute freedom, perfect teeth, a 15-hour work week, and a deep connection to the natural world? Are we actually happier now, surrounded by comfort but plagued by anxiety, or were we better off when the only thing we had to worry about was keeping the fire lit? It's a terrifying thought, but maybe, just maybe, we aren't the masters of the planet we think we are. Maybe we're just domesticated apes suffering from separation anxiety from the wild. If this deep dive into alternate history made you appreciate your refrigerator or throw it out the window, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more sharp, science-based explorations of who we are and where we came from.